My name is Kshitij Karundia and I'm from the class of 2004. I currently am part of Alibaba Group's strategic investment team based out of Hong Kong. My current role is I lead the India and Southeast Asia investments, which is part of Alibaba's strategy to go global outside of China. I've been there for about a year and a half. In my year and a half, I've managed to deploy about $2 billion, one of which is in India, in two companies, Paytm and Snapdeal, and $1 billion is in Southeast Asia leader, e-commerce leader, Lazada. So I'm a thoroughbred South Bombay boy, never left Bombay except to come to Hyderabad. I studied in Cathedral for school and then went to Sydenham College to pursue finance and economics. I had done a bachelor's as well as a master's in commerce degree from Sydenham. I was working in investment banking with Anderson Corporate Finance and then Rothschilds. So I already had at that time what was considered a sunrise in industry and a great experience. But I think what was lacking in me is when I saw some of my peers at work, they used to throw a lot of jargon in front of clients, which was substantiated with a lot of fact-finding and research. And I found a common thread, most of which was that they had studied overseas or they had done business school overseas or in India. So I thought that was at the time a limitation I had if I wanted to progress in the similar career. So I started applying to various colleges. I got into a US leading college and I got into ISB. And I started weighing the various pros and cons. And my wife is actually the founding batch of ISB. So I had 2 years of insight into what ISB could do to one's potential and career. So I decided to choose ISB for a couple of reasons. One is that it was a 1-year program versus a 2-year program. I know some people find it a disadvantage, but for me it was an advantage because A, it was opportunity cost for me out of work. I didn't have to do a 2-year opportunity cost. Second, I thought it probably prepared me much better for future life because future life is not a 2-year course. It's a strenuous 1-year course. And secondly, I thought that one thing lacking was a network that I would build in India, as I always wanted to be closely associated with India. And I think ISB has given me that now after 10, 15 years of its existence. And lastly was actually, I thought the quality of education and value was great. Even after my scholarship at the US school, for 2 years, what I would be paying versus what I got at ISB, which was the same, which was visiting faculty from Kellogg, LBS, and Wharton. I would only get faculty from one school, at the US school. And I was getting best of each subject from the best of the schools. And I thought, I don't know where such a model would be possible except ISB. So that's why I came here, and I'm very pleased with that decision. So my key takeaways from ISB were the ability to deal with pressure on a daily basis. The second was how to leverage your network. And the third was well-rounded strategic thinking. I remember this anecdote from my technology class professor in one of my electives, where he told me that nothing in technology is constant. And it didn't mean anything for me for several years until today, where everything I look at, I always wonder is how soon can this be disrupted? And I think this anecdote is going to stay with me for some time now. So in one of our study group projects, we had to prepare a business plan for a revolutionary idea. All of us sat through and we were all just thinking about what we can do today. So I think one of the problems we were trying to tackle at the time within the group was everyone suffers from body odor and everyone detested body odor. So we came up with a solution that we would make a shirt or clothes with specific materials that would be wrinkle-free, stain-free, and odor-free. And they would actually emit a pleasant smell. Now, all of us had a great laugh over it because in 2004, that was just considered impossible. If I recall correctly, we got an A for that project from our professor. Primarily, one, I was very impressed by the fact that when I sit here today, that he could see the vision. We couldn't see that a shirt like this would be possible, but there are companies making such materials today. And so I think the takeaway from that for me was, don't restrict your thinking to what you can see today, but identify a long-term problem and what could be possible to fix it in the next 10 or 15 years. The courses that influenced me, I would talk about 3 of them, which I think continue to influence me even today. And people might find this strange, but one was LDP. When we started this course, everyone used to wonder, laugh, why do we need this course in a business school? And it's funny that today, most of the teachings in that class are so relevant and so ingrained in everybody that you just do it without thinking, is how you dress to work, power dressing, or the way you say things, or the way you tackle and influence other people. The second class I found was Mark Finn's accounting class, where he actually taught us how to read balance sheets effectively. I thought that was very, very important. Today's world is rife with financial fraud, financial engineering, and to have that knowledge as a backbone is very, very critical in my line of work today. And the third class I would say is the technology class that I took, where the professor really ingrained in me and my love for technology that technology is always exponential. So it's not 1 + 1 going to be 2, but the next generation will always be several years advanced than the previous one was. And again, that's something that I reflect back today as it's very, very relevant to my current role. If I had to describe the experience at ISB in one word, it would be unrivaled. It's funny that I still have aha moments from ISB. I didn't have an aha moment at ISB, but I think when you graduate and you take some of those key learnings and you experience something firsthand at work or in your personal life, and you reflect, you're like, aha, this is what I learned at ISB. So success to me is bringing revolutionary change in the market that I operate in. So this may sound cliched, but I've, over the last several years, been very, very inspired by our founder, Jack Ma. This was a simple English teacher with a dream and a vision, and he didn't let it be a dream and a vision. Today he is the chairman of Alibaba Group, and he has impacted lives of millions of people in China. And hopefully as we grow globally, he will continue to impact the lives of tens of millions of people around the world. A couple of things that resonate with me about his style is, and some of these motivational quotes that he says is, we only hire ordinary people, but together they do extraordinary things. And that is very, very important, because everyone who comes out of business school thinks they're a star. But it's not true that companies are looking for stars. Companies are looking for various other skill sets that can help a company bond together and grow. So I think he has been very, very impactful in my career and how it has shaped my thinking today. No, so that's another learning, right? I mean, there are many, I can keep going on and on, but he talks about if you fail at something, it just means that wasn't your calling. So you've got to keep trying till you find your calling. And he was an English teacher. He failed. He applied to the Stanford and Howard, and he was rejected tens of times. He then set up this company, and he failed. The company was nearly in a death situation at some point. But he just kept at it because he just believed in the vision, and he believed that if he helps the little guy is the engine for an economy. In the end, he will be benefited. And that's sort of the ethos we all now live by, or it's ingrained in our culture. I think the advice I'll give to potential MBA candidates is that you need to carefully assess what program is correct for you. For me, it was 2 years versus 1 year. You need to assess where you think long-term you would like to make an impact, whether it be overseas or it'll be in India, which again was a choice for me. A lot of people think that cost should be the most important factor when considering an MBA. And according to me, a cost is way down below the pecking order. Because whichever business school you go to, As long as you give it your best, you're able to assimilate with the peer group. In 5 or 10 years' time, that cost will be irrelevant. You'd have made multiple times that cost. So I would really consider the people you're going to be with, the courses and faculty that you're going to take, and where would you like to make an impact. And I'm sure there are courses that will fit your profile. I would recommend ISB to prospective candidates for a few reasons. One is you're getting a quality education much closer to home. You're getting best of all business school world's faculty. You're getting global insights from them, whereas in-house ISB is developing more local insight and research. The other reason I would suggest ISB is that there's a growing alumni network, which is increasingly rapidly growing in the echelons of the corporate world into senior leadership positions. And we're all coming to give back to the school. And I think we're a 15-year-old school, as that network becomes bigger and bigger, the value that network will bring back to the school and to prospective candidates would be very, very significant.